Good evening and welcome to the January 16, 2025 meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. Thank you all for being here tonight. As always, we have almost a full house tonight. I'd like to start off our meeting by reading a quorum and voting action. So a quorum is the presence of 5 members of the commission shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. Chairperson may at his or her discretion wait up to 30 minutes after the scheduled meeting time for a quorum to be present. In the event that a member is required to leave a meeting prior to adjournment and the departure causes a loss of quorum, no further official action may be taken until a quorum is restored other than an adjournment. Majority vote of those commissioners present, and in no case less than 4 affirmative votes, shall be required to decide any item of business requiring action by the commission. I'd like to start out by reading that. Next item up on our agenda is to set our agenda. So at this time, looking for any changes, amendments, adjustments, please.
Good evening, Joe Haddock, CSDG. We would respectfully request a 1 meeting deferral for items 10A, 10B, 10C, which are the land use, annexation, and preliminary master development plan for LC Mount Juliet 2. There's been some additional information that the developer would like to add to their packet that pertains to timing of the development and some additional commitments. So we would want to make sure that's included before it comes before this body.
Very well. Thank you. Please, name and address for the record.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Ryan, 1274 Poplar Hill Road. I'm representing Butch Earhart. Likewise, we would like to request deferral into the February meeting for items 9A and 9B to give us a bit more time to confer with staff.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the any other changements, amendments, adjustments? For the record, that is a request and granted deferral for items 9A, which is review the preliminary plat modification for the reserve at Wright Farms located at Rothman Boulevard. It's a request for a deferral of item 9B, which is to review the preliminary plat modification for the Wells Farm subdivision located at 2850 Bender's Ferry Road. Additionally, we have a request for deferral that's been granted for item 10A, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. It'd be to review the land use plan amendment from medium density residential to mixed use for LC Mount Juliet 2, located at 7800 Central Pike. Request for deferral that's granted is also for item 10B, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. That's to review the annexation and plan of services for LC Mount Juliet 2, located at 7800 Central Pike. Also request for deferral that's been granted for item 10C, which was also a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, and that is to review the preliminary master development plan unit development with the rezone from R1 to CMU PUD for LC Mount Juliet 2, located 7800 Central Pike. Those 5 items have been deferred off this evening's agenda. So, no additional changes or adjustments to agenda. We will set our agenda as stated. That will make our final item prior to adjournment tonight would be item 8A, since the deferrals fall in consecutive order towards the back end of our agenda. Next item up tonight, we'll begin with our staff reports and open up Ms. Johnson. Welcome.
Hello. Don't really have a whole lot tonight. I'm flying solo. John is on vacation in Hawaii, seeing his new nephew. So very envious. I got a picture from him a while ago. So very, very envious. I told him he does not want to come back with the weather we're having. But the other big news is we've moved offices. We are now at 115 Clemens, along with Building Codes, Public Works, and the Fire Department. So just want to let everybody know we just got settled in today. This was our first full day. So if y'all need us, we're just right around the corner. Other than that, everything's good to go.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shane, Public Works.
Hope y'all are having a good evening tonight. One tidbit I do want to share. Next week, I got off the phone with our sewer consultant before coming in tonight. Quite possibly the biggest sewer project we've undertaken here at the city, minus providing sewer service, will be going out to advertise next week. So our equalization basin going in at the right at the city limits on Old Lebanon Dirt Road. We're looking at that project hopefully starting in the late spring, early summer, 2.5 years. And it's going to be a, another sign that this town's growing. So we'll be ready to undertake that one. But other than that, Chairman, we have no other comments tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you. I know you guys had your first little test of some snow and weather. Looks like Public Works responded well to that.
Those guys, A+, Grand Slam, all the analogies. They did a great job as always.
I know a lot of folks realize that you guys do a lot with a little. Yes. Thank you guys for that. Todd, anything from your side? Wonderful. All right. Next item up on our agenda tonight will be our citizen comments. At this time, we will take citizen comments. Public is welcome and encouraged to make public comment about any item on our agenda. There'll be 2 opportunities for comments. You may speak now, or you may speak when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And anyone that wishes to address the Planning Commission at this time is welcome and encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone and name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we will move on with our first item up on the agenda, which is our minutes approval. It's item 5A, it's to review and adopt the minutes from the December 19th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Any changes, amendments, typos? That being said, I'm looking for a motion in regards to these items on our agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion? In a second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. All right. Next item up on our agenda falls underneath our consent agenda. Begin with item 6A, development letter of credit number 1523, the amount of $431,525.85 for Legacy Point Phase 1 can be released. Item 6B, development letter of credit number 954-255-3054-90094 in the amount of $327,838.01 for Harrington Phase 1 can be released. Item 6C, the development letter of credit number 954-255-3054-90108 in the amount of $219,514.59 for Harrington Phase 2 can be released. Item 6D, the development letter of credit number 701-6492 in the amount of $33,232.17 for Nicholas Vale Phase 2, Section 2B, Mount Juliet Commons Phase 1, Section 2 can be released. Item 6E, development letter of credit number SLC 00005672 in the amount of $112,834.93 for Kelsey Glenn Phase 7 can be released. Item 6F, the development letter of credit number SLC 00005794 in the amount of $179,330.98 for Kelsey Glenn Phase 8 can be released. Item 6G, development letter of credit number SLC 00005782 in the amount of $131,427.44 for Kelsey Glenn Phase 6 can be released. Item 6H, review the final plat for Everett Downs Mixed Use located at 1919 North Mount Juliet Road. Item 6I, review the preliminary plat for the Godfrey subdivision located at 1030 Nonneville Road. Item 6J, review the final master development plan for the Godfrey subdivision located at 1030 Nonneville Road. Item 6K, review the site plan for Chipotle located off of Rutland Drive. Item 6L, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, review the zoning ordinance amendment for single-family residential 5-104.4 development standards, playground amenities. Item 6M, review the final plat for Golden Gateway lots 2 and 6 located at 1201 Rutland Drive. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. We recommend approval and also positive recommendation for the one item on all items with the conditions as provided.
Wonderful. Thank you. Shane, anything from Public Works?
Same as what Jill said.
Wonderful. Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission about any item on the consent? Commissioner Giles.
So for the Godfrey subdivision, and I guess it would be 6I and 6J. I don't know if for both of them. The sidewalk width is showing 5 feet on Nonneville Road, and that should be 6. I talked to the engineer, and so that would be fine. Correct? So that we need a condition in there that will be 6 foot instead of 5.
So adding the condition for a 6-foot wide sidewalk on the public street
on Nonneville Road.
on Notable Road. Public Works for Todd, please.
Technically speaking, 5 foot would be acceptable based on our code, as that is a county section through there. Our standard detail doesn't apply. Our code does. Our code and our standard detail are a little bit off, where we're going to resolve that right now. But because it's a residential area, 5 foot applies there. If they're willing to do 6, even better. So.
Well, it'd be real simple. I mean, I'm going to vote against it if they don't do 6. So, but we can ask them, they're consenting to do it. The reason that we did 6 was because, correct me if I'm wrong, down next to Nonneville Road in front of Dollar General and all through there, that's 6 foot. And we're trying to be contiguous through the city on wherever we have. For example, like over in Bender's Ferry, we're doing 10 foot, as we come down through there. So that's the reason, obviously, I brought it back. I knew that the subdivision regs were 5, but I thought that out there on those main roads, even though that's not a artery or whatever, it should be 6. That might be something we need to change, so,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if they're willing to do 6, 6 is better than 5. Let's.
yeah. So it'll connect eventually. Of course, it may not be in our lifetime, but it'll connect through there at some point.
So you'll go 6'5", 6'5", 6'5", 5'6".
No, I want it to go 6, 6, 6, 6 all the way.
Don't say that. Say one more 6. Yeah.
I said several. I
All
just
right,
didn't say
good,
3.
good. All right. Can't jinx us this early. Wonderful. Any further questions, comments?
Yeah, I've got
Please.
one for planning on the single-family residential playground amenities. It may be my newbie status here, but help me understand it. So total minimum area of 100 square feet per bedroom, correct? So if a home has 3 beds, single-family home has, say, 3 bedrooms, that would require 300 square feet of dedicated playground space.
Yes, sir, that is
Okay.
correct.
So I was just using my own neighborhood, for example, here. Tuscan Gardens has approximately 300 homes. Let's call it an average of 4 beds per home. So around 1,200 bedrooms, times 100 square feet would be approximately 120,000 square feet, or around 3 acres. And so this would be a playground in that size neighborhood of 3 acres, which would be amazing, I think, but is absolutely gigantic. So I was wondering, was that an order of magnitude off? Should it be 10 feet? Or are we really trying to get, a 3 acre playground for a neighborhood of that size?
As this amendment was requested, we were asked to copy over from what the multifamily standards are, and that's exactly with what multifamily design standards are for required playgrounds. So this is just a duplication of what's in our current zoning ordinance to just apply towards single family as well.
So there are multifamily in the city of Mount Juliet that have that size of a dedicated playground?
They are supposed to in accordance with the ordinance as written.
10 foot per bedroom.
100 foot,
100 square.
100 square feet per bedroom.
Mhm.
I guess I haven't been into many multifamily units. I would be shocked if, say, LC or any other, just using that as an example, because it's one off the top of my head, has that much playground space for that size of it, right?
Yeah, your question is exactly where I was about to go. So you're already ahead of me. Commissioner Giles?
I mean, it seems great, and I guess I would also like to see maybe playground, basketball court, tennis court, like maybe a couple different uses for that. I don't know. I don't ever see any residential neighborhood putting in that much playground space. I measured ours, and it's probably not even a third of an acre, maybe. Like, it would have been a lot. Basically, it was the size of the playground.
Well, you got,
So to have 3 acres
and-
would be massive for our size neighborhood.
and that was going to be you stole my comments right there, but the financial burden put on them, because the thing I hear is more affordable, more affordable. We're putting in this would be a significant addition that would be not only a massive increase in your home price because they're just going to pass it on, but as well as whatever builder or developer is gone. I mean, that's a massive HOA fee as well. So, you know, if you got $1,000 mortgage, something like that to maintain that adequately, you've got half of your mortgage in a HOA payment just to maintain something that probably 5 to 10% of the neighborhood may use.
Yeah, I do like the rest of it. I like the fact that the developer has to call out the specific equipment and have it mapped out, because we fought our developer to get equipment in after the fact, right? And to add to it and this, that, and
Yep.
the other. So I do like that aspect of it. I feel like there should probably be a little bit of flexibility in how that space is utilized. I don't want it to be just open grass. There should be open grass in general, but
And
Yeah.
since we're discussing, as we're looking at this right here, it's one of the things that brought to me or came to my mind was, so if we have a mechanism for this, and let's just say for round numbers that it costs $50,000 to do something, are we better to allow an HOA to dictate what they want and put that into the initial HOA COFR and funding, so the HOA is turned over to the members of the HOA, allow them to dictate their ultimate amenities. So if it calls for a pool, they still got to permit it and do it. But the funding of that could be an initial funding into an HOA account and allow an HOA to dictate whether or not they want pickleball, basketball, swimming pool, slides, swings, jungle gym, open pavilion. I mean, something, we got to get those amenities and like that, you know, but then you also would run into your negative of that. You got to get an HOA to agree, which
a quorum of and a quorum of homeowners that don't necessarily exist yet, because
well, they
there
would-
aren't enough of them there. And
But by
if-
the time it's turned over, the builder's gone.
yeah, if you build it, they'll come, but you
But
have to build it first.
But
And
then you're stuck. Yeah.
yeah.
Can you get 5 people and 600 houses to agree on
anything.
what to do with $3 million potentially in an account? So there's your negative trade-off to that one as well. Commissioner Giles, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I think the purpose of this amendment is that there's statistics now that's come out proving that because there's not enough open space with swing sets for children to play on, it's part of their development to be able to swing, believe it or not. And so we have an absence of that. We have less of that. We're getting more multifamily. We're putting people closer together. The kids have no place to go. This has nothing to do with pickleball. This has everything to do with truly developmental of children for a place to go. The reason that it's 100 foot is it is matching, as Jill just now said. And I would suspect that the BOC will change that square footage. And as you stated, that was in the regs for apartments. Can anyone speak about any apartments that were approved on their playground as far as swings are concerned and those kind of things? Playground equipment.
Yeah, but is the park, especially when you go to this magnitude, is that not our responsibility as a city to provide the park? I mean, you're providing an amenity, not a park from a development standpoint. This is a park, which would i.e. be our taxpayer dollars, not really something that's going to be a financial burden on one development. I mean, that's a massive financial burden upon these people.
Yeah, I think if you look at phases, like your subdivision is, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was, I don't remember if it was in phases or not. But last month, we had a development coming here, if you remember, and it was going to be multifamily. And I asked the question about the playground, and they were going to have to go all the way from next to Nonneville Road, all the way through the whole development to get to the other side. And most of your parents aren't going to do that. But so, you know, it doesn't say that it has to be in one area. It could be broken up in those phases as you go through. this is totally for the development to be able, for children to be able to have a place to play and hopefully develop. So that's the whole thing. We've got developers that come in here and develop many acres, and then they leave. And then we've got multifamily, and we've got so many, and this would obviously have to do with single family homes, but they're very close, a lot of, as you well know. And even, I think this one's written for even medium density, if I'm not mistaken, Jill. Isn't that right?
It's for all single family residential.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't disagree, but when that developer leaves that has made the money or done that, the person stuck with the bill is now those people. That's a financial burden. I mean, even if you spread it out, we're not creating affordable housing by adopting something like this. We're creating something, but if you ran a statistic on it, I would dare to say that you're doing this for 10% of those tenants. Like myself, I wanted a place. My children didn't learn to ride a bike. I lived in Hickory Hills because my Hickory Hills does this. I chose to live in the subdivision, but they didn't know how to ride bikes. Still don't know how to ride bikes, and they're adults. But we had playgrounds, but I did a swing set in my own backyard. It's the increase. This would not only increase the price of a rent of an apartment or a single family residence, because it just gets passed down right to our homeowners. And then when those guys are gone, that they've already increased their price for it. I mean, some of these HOA fees, my sister lives in a townhome and they have nothing right now. And she pays $600 a month and they halfway keep up her townhome. It's city limits. I mean, what do you
If they
do
had
with
this, they'd have a place for the children to go play.
But she'd have $800 in HOA exceeding her mortgage. So that would be my only contrast to it, is we're trying to create something affordable, and this does just the opposite, when it would be more of our responsibility to create more parks.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jill, we're not voting on tonight for apartments. Isn't that correct? We're
No, this
voting
would be
for single family
single family.
homes.
Yeah, and that's where, and those are
So-
the folks that would be, as you said, spread out. So I don't see it as something that's feasible or works. Be my opinion.
I think we've got another.
Yeah.
There's another level to this. I mean, looking at the 55 and up, additional sitting areas may be substituted. What do we define as a sitting area?
Well, it can be benches and could be some other things, but it would be actually just room. So there's not a lot of upkeep to that as far as equipment is concerned.
Well, upkeep, yeah, but I mean, we really nail home the nuts and bolts of the playgrounds, but we get to the 55 and up and we just say sitting areas. I mean,
And we really don't nail down the playground. We just
Well,
say that it has to meet a standard, but there's no specific amount of playground equipment on, again, like if they put a swing on 3 acres, does that count for a 3-acre playground? Right?
like what's the utilization
density
percentage of that square
Of
footage?
the equipment, that type of thing. There's got to be a little more flexibility. Because I love the concept of it. I just think it can be honed a little bit.
And maybe that's where we go based upon this discussion. Do we pull this item, defer it, clear this up, clarify this, and then we can send it to the BOC with taking our comments, then let you guys at the BOC say, hey, here's what we kind of heard at planning. This is what we got that's better than this, rather than a copy and paste for something that we're just trying to jam a square peg into that round box at the moment. I mean, would that be,
we
because it's a staff item and not necessarily a representative item?
We would be happy to take under advisement what the board wishes us to do. We're open to suggestions.
Acceptable, Art?
yeah, let's defer it. Let's
Prefer
take
to
it
do
out
that
and
and-
defer it. Take it
Okay.
out of the consent and defer it.
Yeah, I guess with that, so we get something tangible and working forward, because I agree. I think that's across the board that there's great merit here, but what can we do? So does anybody else have any kind of input? Commissioner Ratz, please.
Just possible, a way to arrive at a solution is, in order of magnitude, depending on the size of the subdivision, what the amenities might be. Maybe it's a sliding scale. Maybe we have enough discretion on our end where we can grant, easily grant waivers depending on what the situation is. 3 acres in Tuscan Gardens is wow.
Yeah.
But Tuscan Gardens has a beautiful amenity center. Really, really nice.
Yeah.
Willoughby Station has a big amenity center. And I think appropriate for those subdivisions. I think they're just trying to rubber stamp this as something that we're going to do is just 100. That I don't think that's anything we can work with.
Anything else anybody wish to add? So with that being said, that be okay? Okay. Then I believe Ms. Burnett, as chairperson, I could defer that since that's a staff item. Is that correct?
I would just do a motion to postpone.
Okay. So I need to make that motion prior to the conclusion of this or voting on the consent agenda.
Yes, because this will be
Okay.
separate from the consent agenda. Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion at this time to postpone item 6L, which is a recommendation item to the Board of Commissioners. It's to review the zoning ordinance amendment for single-family residential 5-104.4 development standards, playground amenities.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? That is deferred. All right. Any further questions, comments regarding any of the additional items on the consent agenda at this time? With that being said, I'm going to turn some microphones off here real quick. At this time, we'll need to close our planning commission meeting in order to open a public hearing. The public hearing is in regards to items 6H and 6M. Item 6H is to review the final plat for Everett Downs mixed use located 1919 North Mount Juliet Road. Item 16 is to review the final plat for Golden Gateway, lots 2 and 6, located 1201 Rutland Drive. Anyone wishing to speak about either of those items during the public hearing is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we're going to be closing our public hearing, reopen our planning commission meeting, and at which time we'd like to call for citizen comments in regards to any of the items on the consent agenda. Anyone wishing to make comment about any of them at this time is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, I'm looking for a motion in regards to the items on our consent agenda.
Motion to approve items A through 6A through 6N, acknowledging 6L is postponed.
It's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Right. Next item up on our agenda is item 7A. It is a recommendation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Kenny just pointed out to me, I'm not sure that you made a motion about the 6 foot, whatever the 6 foot thing was that Art was.
Oh, the additional comment added in there for the Godfrey?
Yes, I think we just discussed it. I don't know that it was actually motion to be added to that.
Do we need to make that in the form of a motion, or should we make that in the form of a clarification in regards to that? Since we've already taken action on
We
it.
have to make a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, motion to reconsider that one item,
Let's
to
do
add
that
it to
way.
it.
Yes.
Do I need to,
What number was it?
6I, 6J is what it would affect?
So just do a motion to reconsider 6I it's really just for the purpose of
Sure.
clarification. You already all talked about it, but.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. I'd like to make a motion to reconsider item 6I, 6J to add a comment. Item 6I is to review the preliminary plat for the Godfrey subdivision located at 1030 Donovan Road. Item 6J is to review the final master development plan for the Godfrey subdivision located at 1030 Donovan Road.
Second.
It's a motion to reconsider with a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising their hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? We are reconsidering, at which time, Commissioner Giles, I think you had something that you wanted added to that?
I think so.
6 foot sidewalk?
Right.
Would you like that added to?
Yeah, I thought that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so
I'll make the motion.
yeah, we'd like to add the additional comment for the sidewalk section along the public road to be at 6 foot instead of 5 foot. Now, do I need to vote on that?
I say it should be a motion to add
Wonderful.
that. Yes.
All right, so that is included within the motion to consider that. Good. That's a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions. Wonderful. All right.
I missed that.
No problem. Next item up on our agenda is item 7A, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners to approve a conveyance of land from the Wilson County Board of Education to the city for the section of property at West Elementary School containing the sewer pump station for use by the city as a public utility. Ms. Johnson,
I am going to defer to Ms. Burnett.
wonderful. Please.
I added this to the agenda. It is simply what's called a mandatory referral to the BOC whenever the city takes in land, especially for the purposes of a public utility. It has to come to the Planning Commission first. I'll actually let Shane explain the project if you want to know more about it.
Okay. Shane, please.
So TDOT is originating a project outside of our city limits to put a eastbound turn lane into West Elementary. In the process of that widening, they will be taking or eliminating septic fields for 2 residents out of the county and 2 properties within the city limits. As such, TDOT has to reconnect those properties to a public sewer, which does not exist in that area because the existing sewer line running to West Elementary is private and maintained by West Elementary as a result of a right-of-way exchange back 20 years ago for the widening of North Mount Juliet Road when the high school was on North Mount Juliet Road. In an effort of public, in the effort to be good servants for the school board and for TDOT, the city has made an arrangement with the Wilson County Board of Education to take ownership of that line in order to serve those residents that will be impacted with this widening, because those residents cannot be served by sewer that's not public. So we've taken this item to the BOC this past Monday. We're going to the school board next Monday, correct?
Yes, it's a multi-stop, or multiple boards have to vote on it. So this is just a step in the process. It'll go before the school board next week, the actual deed, because they would be deeding it to us. So the school board will vote on that, but we've spoke to school board director, and he's actually the one who had the idea to give it to the city. So we're hopeful that everyone will work together on this and we'll get the project done.
And what's before y'all tonight is the amount of property we will need to upgrade that pump station to city specs, make our improvements, and to be able to maintain maintenance and service it going into the future.
It's a good thing for the city, right?
Yeah, like our utility director, Tim Forkham, says, the school board's in the business of schools, and we're in the business of providing utilities. So it's win-win, and it's the right thing to do.
So with the upgrades of that pumping station, would it need to be moved or relocated
No, sir.
when Lebanon Road gets widened?
No, sir.
Okay,
Not at this time, no.
great. That's good.
Not with this,
No.
no.
No double.
I can't
double
speak
charge.
to when they'll widen the road, but as
Sure.
of right now, that's not in the plans, and it is outside of the city limits.
Further questions, comments? This time I'd like to call for citizen comments regards this item on our agenda. Anyone wishing to make comments, welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, I'm looking for a recommendation in regards to this item on our agenda.
Make a motion for a positive recommendation.
It's a motion and a second for a positive recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising their hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? It is a positive recommendation. Next item up on our agenda is item 8A, is to review the final master development plan, site plan for public storage, Golden Bear, located at 6350 Golden Bear Gateway. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. This is for a portion of the project Jolene PMDP that was approved in 2022. This is for the FMDP and site plan for a proposed public storage facility. It's approximately 117,000 square feet, 53 feet in height. Sits on approximately 2.44 acres and is located specifically on Lot 2 of Project Jolene. Project Jolene, as many of you may remember, fronts Golden Bear Gateway between Athletes Way and Rutland Drive. This is the first development going on that area of roadway there. They have the zoning of IR PUD, which is appropriate for this type of usage with the public storage. The access to the site is going to be via Rutland Road with a spine road that will connect at some point in time once additional development goes in place to have Athletes Way connect to Rutland Drive, and it'll run concurrently alongside Golden Bear Gateway. There's also a 10-foot multi-use path provided via requirement of the PUD. The sidewalks are to be widened to 7 feet for overhang, with a vehicular overhang, excuse me. The only variance that they've requested is for parking. With this project, it requires 28 spaces, but due to the inconsistent use of coming and going with people storage, sometimes just cars, sometimes maybe a moving truck, they've asked for 12 spaces. All fencing will be black and decorative around the perimeter of this project. They must adhere to all provisions of the ordinance with Project Jolene, which again, I said is 2230. During our review, we have noted they are in substantial compliance with their portion of this that adheres to Project Jolene. One additional note that we did want to make, as part of the original ordinance, they were given a variance to have a 10-foot buffer that runs along the southern border of this project to block them from the church that sits right there to the south. We, upon our review, are requesting that this landscape buffer be increased to 50 feet with significant landscape and low maintenance fencing to help shield the church from the spine road and also from this facility due to the size and just the type of facility it is. But other than that, we just request approval based on the conditions as applied in the staff report.
Thank you. Shane, Public Works?
Engineering Public Works recommends approval based on our conditions. They're primarily more construction plan review in nature, so relatively minor. There's a lot of them, but we recommend approval with our conditions.
Got one minor question to just start out. So I think you mentioned this, it's in substantial compliance. Outside of the change to the 50-foot buffer, which love, everything else is in accordance with what we previously saw on this.
Yes, sir.
Do we know what the status is for the completion of this particular project for that, particularly the parallel road to Golden Bear that'll run across that face? Are they going to get all that pad and site ready and get that road into?
I'll defer to Public Works as far as the spine road portion of that. See if they have any further knowledge of it. If not, we may have to speak to the representative.
To my recollection, that spine road was going to be built and pieced as development came in on those out parcels. There was no conditions other than to have one per the PMDP PUD.
Without the spine road well, maybe ask Todd this question. Without the spine road right there, is movement and everything okay? Because when you get one way in, one way out, and you got amateurs oftentimes driving box trucks. So I saw the site table on here.
As part of the review process here, I did ask them to provide an auto turn profile for a single unit box truck. Your pretty standard U-Haul, really. And it shows pretty good clearance that even amateur drivers are gonna. They might have to wait for a car or two, but there's plenty of room. I definitely wouldn't recommend making these roads wider. So
No. Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking of mainly the connection there to Athletes Way in the meantime till you kind of got, if you get stuck in there one way, it's easy to keep going forward rather than, back up.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
they shouldn't get stuck, particularly with the orientation back towards Rutland Drive being sort of at the skew it is. It's really going to make it easy to get the box truck out of there.
Perfect.
That proposed loading area is, I don't know if that was an addition after the fact or not, but that's nice. I mean, it's 38 feet plus 18 feet, so that's a significant, if someone got a, like you said, a box truck in one of those parking spots, they would have enough room to back out and get going where they're going.
I saw that. Thank you for getting that included. Further questions, comments from the commission?
So the buffer is going to be 50 feet, correct?
That's what staff is requesting, the 50 feet.
So there's no problem with that. Yeah, I don't know.
I like that.
Oh, yeah, I like that too, but
Will that change that'll have to change the plans, won't it? As drawn?
Jill, if we add that as a,
I'm sorry. could
if
you
we
repeat
add
your
that as a
question?
50-foot buffer, does that make any significant changes to the plan that we're seeing here tonight?
I'm going to chime in.
Please.
The Board of Commissioners approved the variance for that buffer to 10 foot, so the Planning Commission cannot now change it.
So we can't override
Correct.
BOC.
Yes.
That is correct. Very well.
Apologize for the miscommunication on
No,
that.
that's okay. It looks like we got representation. So name and address for the record.
So 4031 Aspen Grove Drive, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067. And Cooper Morris. I'm with Kimley Horn, so it's great to be here. Ultimately, what we have shown right now on the plans is 10 foot. It's consistent with the condition on the PUD. We do have a sidewalk back there that's connecting what is Project Jolene from an industrial standpoint through the back of our site and connecting to the multi-use path back there.
Yeah, so that would make it in compliance. So we
this comes up to the
really can't do anything there, but if you could help us with your client, maybe some additional tree plantings or something along the way, I'm sure it'd be mutually beneficial for everybody, and always good to start out with a good name, staff and the community alike right there. Yeah, name,
Patrick Hart, Public Storage, 2200 Avenue K. Yeah, we can absolutely do that. The other thing to mention there is with how the grade works, although the building's 4 levels, there will only be 2.5 levels visible from the church. So we are trying to be respectful of that use back there, but you can certainly look at some landscaping as well.
a couple good hardwood trees that might not achieve it today as far as height, but down the road would maybe provide a buffer, something complimentary there to the back of the building, to the church alike. Yeah.
Assuming that we have the room, we take a look at that.
Another quick question. So I'd asked that initially. Do you know what your developer's plans are for the rest of this project over to lot 1?
We don't. We know that they're looking at some retail uses, but I haven't heard any timing on that, unfortunately.
As far as they want to go?
Yeah, I know like everyone, want to move quickly, but I haven't heard any substantive plans.
Do you guys own the adjacent property too? Or
We
you
do
just own this
Just the corner, yep.
Okay, but you've talked with them and they've not said of any designated tenants or anything coming your way quite yet?
No, we've kind of had a similar question, as was mentioned. Our site circulates well on its own.
Yeah.
We'd like it all to connect, obviously, for sort of the service of our customers, but we've not heard any specifics on when they're moving forward with that.
And you're going to build that spine road, that connection road underneath your project, or are they building that for you?
We'll build the portion that is on our parcel, and then they'll build the remainder of it.
And they'll have to abide to the standards for that spine road to support future traffic.
With the access easement, yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Questions, comments, please. Commissioner George.
What, and this might just be for staff. What does the lighting look like on the Rutland Drive side, specifically adjacent to Miss Carver's property?
I do know that they adhere to the site lighting details, and I do not think that there is any bleed over onto Ms. Carver's property. It's supposed to be, I think, at 0.1 candles at the property line, but give me just one moment and I'll
I
verify.
hope not, because I grew up on the other side of Rutland Drive and I knew Miss Carver. And back in there used to be just kind of a country road. And now it is anything but that.
Preston, I got some age from you, buddy, and I'm not going to tell you about some of the things on
Oh,
Rutland
yeah.
Road. Yeah, it was good times, good times. Further questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Giles, please.
Comment that I'm going to abstain, and and I'm going to talk to the attorney about it later. If I had thought about it, I would have, but I didn't. So I'm going to abstain just to be because it's going to pass, I'm sure. So that's the reason. I think it looks like a good development to me. I was going to vote for it until I realized something. So
Perfect. That being said, let's call for citizen comments regards this item on the agenda. Anyone wishing to make comments, welcome, encourage you to do so. Name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments this time, looking for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
Might as well keep it going. A motion to approve.
A motion? And a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Against? Abstentions? So approved. At this time, I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion? Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? We are adjourned.